Welcome, everybody, to Blocksafe Decoded. This is the series geared towards the early stage founder in the blockchain community. For those who are looking for the right path to take those first steps to putting out your product. In this series, we've been discussing things from the founder standpoint, VC, design, and today it's marketing time. We're here with Jolly. He's a co-founder of Flight3, our good friends over at Flight3, and Zebu Live, the UK's biggest Web3 conference. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me, Michael. It's happy Friday. It's been an exciting week in the market, and that always reflects in like the team, the sentiment, what's coming in 2024. I think is so exciting. Having been in crypto for 10 years now, this really coming to some exciting products, and more importantly, that leads into exciting marketing.
It feels different, and I don't know if it's because maybe we've been here for a while, but it's still this time it feels different. It feels like there's something bigger coming, and that's why this is a really good conversation that we're going to have. Because as I've just as a quick intro, every cycle comes new ideas, and with every individual in this space who's been here one cycle, learning the ropes, second cycle, interacting with communities, understanding the blockchain space more, maybe about that third time around they start to get ideas. And what we want to do as a development agency, as a full service development agency, of course, is be able to take those ideas and shape them from the conceptual side all the way to fruition. And part of that, of course, is helping people find the right timing, the right fit, and the right steps in their journey as they bring these ideas and become these first-time founders. And of course, marketing is a huge part of that. That's the probably number one question that's asked: when marketing. So let me just ask that to you: when marketing, sir? It's the ultimate question, right? It's the thing that everybody thinks that they know what is needed, but like from a community, but it is also the most elusive, I think, nut to crack to do it in the right way. So first, I guess, tell us a little bit about Flight3. Give us a little bit of history of the company. Also, we'll talk about Zebu after that a little bit, but let's hear a bit about Flight3 first.
Yeah, 100%. So I got into crypto 2013 when my brother was like, "Got to get some Bitcoin," and I presented it as an economic phenomenon at university, and I was like, "Okay, wow, this is like 21 million, penny drop moment." And then sort of watched it all the way through. In 2021, we founded Zebu Digital, and we had that mad growth journey. From 0 to 80 people in about 11 months. So that was a crazy sort of growth spurt. And then we've since sort of really solidified. And our vision is to be the Web3 firepower for founders. I think there's so many interesting, innovative ideas. We're extremely passionate about bringing that mass adoption. And our vision is to work on the WhatsApp of Web3, that app or that product that goes to 1, 2, 3, 4 billion users, daily active users. And I think that's where it really excites our core vision of having got into, it was crypto back then in the early days, 2013. Yeah. Now it's Web3, whatever we call it. We're probably just going to go back to calling it the internet at some point, or just digital. So we're about sort of like 30, 40 people now, and we got acquired this year. So we work on Zebu Digital, and we run the UK's largest conference called Zebu Live. We got acquired by Stephen Bartlett and the Flight Story agency. And the idea behind that was they were the first people to really push on social media marketing in the late teens, and were very successful at it. We wanted to be the first real blue chip Web3 marketing agency that has Web2 and Web3 capabilities. As lots of these companies grow, there will be that, but sort of Web3 companies coming into like Web 2.5 and Web 2 companies coming down. So we wanted to be able to service sort of across that whole landscape. And it's been an exciting journey to now, but the quality of projects that are starting to really come to market now and get closer to product market fit is extremely exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think that right now, you mentioned, Web 2.5, but then also Web 3 coming down. Do you feel like right now what's being created in the past it was a lot of infrastructure and things like that. Is this, are we gearing up towards finally having this actual consumer level product coming out?
I think that's, well, there's a few things to unpack there. I definitely think one of the exciting themes this coming cycle is the consumer apps. Lots of people are getting closer to making something that's blockchain obscured on the phone that people can suddenly use. And so many, the adoption of Unibot, for example, which was a consumer app on Telegram. It's, for those who don't know, it's how you can very quickly and easily and efficiently trade, snipe, mirror trade people just using Telegram. And I think that was the app that sort of got to X million users like so quickly. And I think you saw with something like FriendTech, they had such an amazing viral marketing. It was like Web2, and I saw someone call Social Fire a mullet.
Yeah.
Web2 on the front end, Web3 in the back end. And I think that's what people are excited for. And so that UX is coming, and so is the product market fit. So yeah, there's an exciting moment coming for that marketing piece when it actually needs to get into the consumer's hands. Whereas I think people are still adjusting and still working through what that exactly looks like. But yeah, plenty of adoption to come.
Yeah. When it comes to branding and terminology, do we need to redefine our jargon? Is that how vital is that, or how important is that still to have some element of it for the education aspect? And how do you think that affects the end user or the target market when they're looking at these products that are powered by blockchain? Like, how important is that for a product to have some level of, yes, we're blockchain, but this is what we do with it? Or do we just need to, like NFTs, just calling something else, tokens, crypto, call it something else? Like, where does the road meet the rubber there right now, do you think?
Yeah, the branding landscape is quite interesting. And I think effectively the brand positioning for a lot of projects is what is the absolute cornerstone of like good marketing. Everyone knows that most people in Web3 crypto have the attention span of about 4 seconds flat.
I think that's less than a goldfish, sir.
People are scrolling through, they're getting notifications on SocialFi, Discord, Telegram, WhatsApp, Slack, Notion, all of these apps, X. And it's like, how can you keep effectively communicate in a very short space of time what you do and make people feel a certain way about it? And I think, there's lots of people wanting to appeal to institutions without having this like amazingly crazy degen aspect of like token marketing. And so people kind of come to a crossroad when you're approaching two avatars of like sophisticated, we're saying we're using blockchain tech, and when dev do something, when moon, when listing type vibes. And I think it's an interesting journey of like how you go about approaching that. And the important thing is it's very contextual. And as founders of a project, no one probably knows it better than themselves. And you need people to help guide you along the way, ask the right questions, and ultimately you have the answers. But you need those brand strategists to really help ask those questions, but ultimately you've got to pave the way of what you think is going to be right for your product. Because the reality is most of the time blockchain founders are doing first-in-kind tech that's like never kind of been seen before. If you ask someone on these onboarding calls who does it the best, and 9 times out of 10 people are saying, yeah, no one's really done it. Even when it's like a new blockchain, like I know there's like lots of projects coming up, and it's like, who's your favorite blockchain that does it? Well, no one's really done it the same as us. So and it's like, so how do you find out how to position that? And that's a very interesting thing, because people are getting fatigued of the next best thing, which is everything in crypto.
Well, that's a good question. Does it always have to be something that no one's ever done, or can you take something someone's done and just try to do it better? Is that just as viable?
Oh, I love the copy and pasta with a little bit of expertise on top. That's what I think really brings some magic. And sometimes it's the most simple things. I was at university with someone who, they made new tonic water, and it became like a super huge global tonic water. And it's like tonic water's been done a million times, it's been
Right.
done for a long time, but like,
Right.
how do you make the most premium, the most exciting, the most delicious? And that is ultimately like branding and distribution.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know that in the US, the hard seltzer thing caught
Yeah.
on like wildfire, and now
It's
first
just
it
come
was
to the UK. It's just come
yeah,
to
yeah.
the UK in a
First
big way.
first it was the micro brew and the home brew. Then everyone was starting to do spirits, and now I even read even locally where I am, like the first seltzer manufacturing companies popping up, and it's it all tastes like not good to me anyway. So how do you make that exciting is what I'm trying to get at, right? Like how do you make that same old thing exciting? Take us through a little bit of I'm a founder, I'm getting close to product launch. I've got a mid-sized community, but a really great concept. I come to you, take me through the process. Like, how do you identify the important beats? What are the things like maybe for a founder who has a small mid-sized treasury as they're trying to grow, obviously, like what would be the steps if someone came to you with some solid ideas? They can't go full tilt yet, but take me through the process of how you would guide them towards their branding and things like that, working with you at Flight 3.
Yeah. So it obviously is very contextual. I always am very passionate about finding your first 100 super fans.
Mm-hmm.
I think people are extremely wild on specific vanity metrics because lots of the industry is, you see some of these GameFi projects with like 3, 4, 500,000 followers and all this insane engagement. And it's like, find your first 100 super fans and listen to them. Great marketing is obviously a product of good customer service. And I think that like lots of the time people expect just by like broadcast messaging and not connecting and listening and like running in those feedback loops. So I think finding your first 100 super fans is a really good starting point. And if you're in a tighter treasury situation, we just come out of a huge bear market. What works for your product roadmap? What works for your where do you ultimately need to run a really solid startup? And that's hard because 9 out of 10 startups fail in the normal world, let alone in Web3. So definitely don't go OTT on the marketing spend at the start. And I think solidifying your communications, your branding, and your identity of how you show up in the world is extremely important. And what that means is understanding your credibility drivers, your unfair advantages, your what are your USPs, and put them across in non-jargon ways. And I think the quicker we get to, I always think when there's too much technology in your explainer, technical terms and these sorts of things, this is mainly maybe more for retail items. But say in 2020, you used to be able to sell a music album because it was an NFT. That was the USP of it. And so slowly that's getting diffused down to zero of just going back to being a good music album, rather than no one's interested that it's just an NFT.
Yeah.
So really getting that across of what does your product do and why is it important for consumers or end users? That's interestingly enough, I think a really undervalued point. People drive straight onto community to start with, or wanting X on Twitter, or wanting A, B, or C following, and that ultimately doesn't matter if you don't have that sticky funnel.
Yeah, definitely. It's this kind of need for numbers to prove your credibility is a weird game to play, I think, sometimes. And I definitely agree that if you don't do the right thing as far as knowing exactly what you're putting out there, it's like when you see the big pitch decks that sell that raise, it's always we're like blank, but we blankety blank, right? We're like the existing thing, but we do this other stuff too. And those are always the ones where oh, they raised $50 million on that deck because it's very simple to put across. Especially with the technical jargon, I agree, because people gloss over stuff very, very quickly.
Yeah,
You've got to know that you've got to know the keywords to hone in on.
And there's different routes to doing
Yeah.
everything, right? Like if you've got a small raise and a tight team, like if you want to achieve like outsized results, you've got to do like moonshot activities of like trying to get that virality. Or like if you are Vitalik and like what, you know, you could raise a huge amount for another project, and some of these bigger like L2s, L1s that have that credibility, and they go about it with like, they pay the top dollar for everything. Everything's tier one. And that's like one way to do something, but there's no right way to do a startup. So don't be afraid of like, oh, I haven't seen anyone else do it like this way. Like, that's great. Then it's new, and it's the Web3 scene really respects novelty. When someone comes at something in a new way, and I think the most frequent area you see this in is tokenomics. That's always the most discussed point of like, I always say there's two types of tokenomics. Ones we know that don't work, and new ones. But you know, we're still working out, and that's okay. You know, I think people get very disheartened at all of the stuff going wrong last cycle, and I think that's interesting because that's just human psychology. But there's so many times that everyone's doubted in the last 10 years, like where this space is going, can it continue? It used to be in 2015, 2016 that China bans Bitcoin. That was the classic FUD. 30% down. China's banned Bitcoin again. Oh no, it's all gone around the WhatsApps. Okay, oh, China can't ban Bitcoin because it's back up. So I think, you know, that's okay that tokenomics fail and go wrong, because we'll learn that for next time, and there will be a more sustainable design, value accrual, someone really clever will eventually find out something that like works long term, and that's cool.
Yeah, definitely. It is okay. So let's talk a little bit about Zebu Live. Let's talk about conferences, because
Zebu Live, baby.
Yeah. So
IRL.
yes. So Kenneth Null, our CEO, and I were very happy to come out and attend this last October, and had an absolute blast. By the way, the best closing party I've ever been to in my entire life. Just absolutely mental. Like this venue was just this maze of tiny bars and rooms and DJs. And then I was like, isn't there more here? And someone finally led me out to the balcony of the main floor, where there's just throngs, thousands of people dancing and DJ. It was honestly, it was amazing. I really loved it. But that's just the after party. The conference was great. The setup was great. Tell us about Zebu Live. Tell us about the UK Web3 scene a little bit too. I think we'd be interested to hear a little bit about that. Like, how tight is the scene? What are some of the people working on, and just like what's it like in your neck of the woods?
Yeah, so let's go back to the start. So Harry is my brother, and also he's a co-founder and CEO, and he ran his first Bitcoin meetup in London in 2013. So we've been through quite some things. He booked a guy called Paul Gordon, who's the founder of CoinScrum, and that was like he was the founder of the first Bitcoin meetup, which is just like amazing guy, really was pushing the scene. And so since then, we've been very passionate about, you know, community building. Harry's first company that he exited was a music festival down in Exeter, for those who know the UK well. And, you know, events are one really core aspect of community building, right? IRL, you get that enthusiasm. People in Web3 tend to be, you know, for want of a better word, like maximalists, or like very passionate about falling down like the rabbit hole, that kind of narrative. And so during 2021, when we came out of COVID, I think we did it in about 6 weeks. We were like, let's run a really cool event in London. It was called DeFi Live at the time, because it was DeFi summer. And it was like Harry messaging all of his friends, like, how can we get as many people together in a short amount of space of time? So we ran that, and since then we're going into our 4th year. We want to be bringing together the change makers, the thought leaders, the community, the retail, the institution, to really be this melting pot of innovation of like the future of Web3 to make stuff happen. Our core KPIs, like how many magical moments can we create at Zebu Live? How many hires, how many co-founders can meet? How many deals, how many VCs can you get a ticket from? How many friends can you meet? How many cool talks can you like overcome and like shout out to the world? And so that's the kind of culmination and vision of what Zebu Live is. And it's exciting going into the 4th year, because, you know, we had Coinbase, Man United, Hugo Boss, Google, Outlier Ventures, Jamie Burke, who we're a big fan of. And so, you know, we've been kind of pulling together. Last year was undoubtedly tough. You know, trying to get people across in the height of the bear market was very tricky, and we're proud to have, you know, stuck true to it and stayed in the grip. But I think there's some amazing things happening in the UK scene. One of our alumni at Flight3 is Stevie Newham. You might know him as OX Cap on socials, but he's the UK lead for Solana, and he is doing a best-in-class job at running a UK community. So he's localizing that UK Solana scene and just checking out how many people he's helped, projects he's incubated, and what they like to call his community GDP. If you are in the UK, go and check out Super Team UK, because that's the UK talent layer of Solana. So there's so much things bubbling. We're proud to be part of it all and helping other people. There's Crypto Mondays run by Caitlin and the whole team there who are doing an insane job. There's Mondow, Tuesday, Tim Squared run that. So yeah, I mean, there's some really cool things happening, and I think when we start to see the emergence of people getting excited about Web3 scene, what they're building, wanting to connect to passionate founders, we're going to see a real another influx of new, exciting, passionate, talented people flow into the scene, and that is always exciting.
Definitely. How important is a founder presence in Web3 when it comes to marketing? Because it's kind of a different paradigm, right? With this building out in the open thing, how important is that, having that one person, even if not the founder, at least the pitch man or whatever in the marketing and branding?
Yeah, because I think it's like, it definitely varies based on what your project's trying to achieve, right? Bitcoin was really successful, I think, because it didn't have a founder in that anonymity. And I think sometimes people get nervous about what happens to ETH post Vitalik. You know, the new roadmap they brought out, like, oh, that's to 2050. Is it Vitalik still going to? Of course, he's going to live by it. But I think that you're seeing a lot more that personal brands are more effective than company brands in the last 10, 15 years. And that's Web3 or non-Web3, because people like to feel that connection in this like insanely digital age, and like the trust in companies has never been lower, and that's sort of quintupled in Web3 with all of like the potentially nefarious activity that goes on. So I think that, you know, I would say for 75, 80%, maybe a little bit higher, it's really important that like you are there, your docs, etc. There's 25% of projects that like you don't have to be doxed, but like you have to show up every day for your community. If not, then like why would you want to put your like time, effort into being a community member? And like the asks that you have of those community members to evangelize them, you have to be there to do that yourself. And I think people know the exhaustion that comes with, but I definitely think Arbitrum did an amazing job of the founders really like helping to lead, be a thought leader, and buy into that vision and ultimately create trust. And that's what those founders are there to do. And that personal branding, that founder-led branding is extremely effective in that.
Yeah, definitely. Going back quickly to conferences, I think that's because conference season is upon us, at least here in the US, certainly. When is it a good time for a project to get a booth? When is it?
Look, I'm there so passionate about the value of events marketing, and I think that Rory Sutherland, who's kind of like the godfather of marketing, he was at Ogilvy for a many number of years, and you should definitely read his book Alchemy if you want to get some very insightful thoughts on marketing. So that's a big tip for me. But you know, so much in marketing is down to like ROI and push numbers and these sorts of things, but it's like you must have that. That's absolutely essential. But you also can't take your eye off. You know, this is also a gripe for like performance marketing, is you might be maximizing for a local maximum down here, and you're missing your kind of like moonshot leapfrog moment, which is meeting X person at an event that's going to like revolutionize your products or your team, or you open a door that you just like cannot measurably like expect. And so I think that, and a lot of it's longer tail, you know, I think a lot of Web3 is about community and culture, and that comes with time. You know, a year, 2 years, 3 years of being on the event circuit with people and showing up and being there and contributing doesn't go unnoticed. It might not give you instant results, but it might give you a result that is instantly amazing at some point in time when they just like send that Telegram message, hey, Michael, I know you're working on this and this is a huge fix. We have got XYZ that wants a collab, and it's like fantastic. So I think, you know, horses for courses, who's at the conference, what does your product do? Do you want to be talking? Do you want like a big brand splash activation? I always say events marketing is like this age-old riddle. Michael, you have an orange and you have two of the most powerful CEOs, Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk, that both want the orange. Like, how do you, and you only have one orange, like, how do you solve that problem? And like, the answer is, Elon Musk's he's making Negroni, so he wants the peel, whereas Mark Zuckerberg wants the orange because he wants to eat it. And it's like, you've made two people happy. And I think like, there's always a part of marketing, events marketing that's useful, the digital splash, the speaking ops, the huge brand awareness, whatever it is, there's lots of different ways to get value from events, taking a booth. So I think it's like connect with the event organizers, and I'm sure there's a way that they can provide value to your project.
Excellent. All right. Let's see. What are you most excited about, just in general, Web3 this year, this upcoming year? Like, what are you seeing on the horizon? What are the things that you're interested in personally?
I'm very excited about a number of things. I think Deepin is obviously getting a lot of hype, which is funny because like Filecoin and all of these projects have been around for so long, but I think that's a nice little niche that's coming. One of our co-founders, Henry, spent 10 years in AAA game studios, worked on Halo, Total War, all of like the mega budget stuff. And so naturally I hear a lot about Web3 games from him. I think there's still like the time lag between making a AAA game that has like Web3 underpinning it, and there might be like Fortnite coming in from that angle. They're doing it first like a Web3 title growing out. From what I hear, it's always like one hero title, like Sonic made it for Sega, and Halo was for Xbox, and there's a few ones that apparently just like really drive it, and that will happen. There's no shadow of a doubt in my mind. So I think that's like very exciting for this space, that people get used to. In-game currency is just like, it's a no-brainer, isn't it? So I think that's going to happen a lot. I think there's projects building stuff that's blockchain first and something else in like the back end. And so I think there's like a project that I've been researching recently called Alchemy that do this next level ads, decentralized ads, programmatic ads. And if you haven't seen them, definitely check them out.
Yeah, they're very cool.
Yeah, you know them. Yeah, unbelievable team. I haven't been getting to know them a bit in London, and I think so many projects like that I wouldn't have like thought about, that are just innovating beyond what I can imagine.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see these ancillary projects come out. First is infra. It's a token. Oh, here's a place to put token. Here's a DeFi. Here's what you do. And now we're getting these consumer products, and you're seeing things like the programmatic ads and all these and things to help push this other stuff up. So it's neat to see this evolution of these verticals happening, and then these other things on the side to support it. And speaking of Fortnite and marketing, what a banger move they just did with Disney. They put like 1.4 billion in it. They're bringing all of Disney and Star Wars and whatever into Fortnite and making like the islands thing. Did you see that?
People love IP, they love that familiarity. So I didn't see the specific announcement.
No, you got to check it out.
Man, they are pretty massive. It, I'm sure.
Yeah, they put like $1 billion into Epic Games, and so they're building like a Fortnite island. It's got like the castle-y thing, and there's like five distinct areas, which I guess will house different IPs on there. Yeah,
man,
Yeah.
It's a game changer. Like, so all of that's happening, and I have no doubt there'll be like adoption, and these things are happening. I think we're something like 600 million wallets, 600 million people have crypto or something, which, you know, it's not even in terms of like 7-8 billion people. We're still, I know everyone says we're still early, but it is hard to gauge where you are in your journey. I think that's what's been so hard. And it's like sometimes people suffer from being too early and like, oh, I'm not buying Bitcoin at 40K because, you know, I was here in 2015 and it was 1,000. And don't ever let your like history bias affect you too much of like where we are in this cycle, and like lots of mini failures like get people down. But the stuff that will happen and the innovation, I'm sure it will be fantastic.
Yeah, it is an exciting time in the world of blockchain and Web3. There are so many cool things coming out. Tell us how to find you, sir, out there in the internet land.
The internet land. I'm out there on OX Sticks on Twitter. So Styx is like the river between the underworld and Gaia. In this like, and I see that as like what Web3's envisioned as. It's like this river that separates the verdant like land of Gaia and the underworld. So that's me on Twitter.
That's cool.
Flight3. If come by anytime, we're over in Oxford Circus at the moment, but we're just moving to our new mega office in April, which will be super exciting.
Nice one.
Any Web3 builder, founder, retail, community member, like please come by. We're so friendly. We always have some merch to give out, some Zebu live stuff, some caps. Come by anytime. So just drop us a DM on Flight3 official. Say Jolly invited you, and you're definitely welcome. We're going to be running Zebu live again in October 2024. It's going to be huge. We've got some huge guests coming IRL to speak.
Nice.
If you want to get involved in some way, shape or form, whether that's volunteer, speak, sponsor, partner, community partner, anything you name it, we are passionate about having you involved. So awesome. Zebu Live is our Telegram handle there, Twitter handle there.
Yeah, maybe this is the year that I finally get that speaker slot.
Headline.
Finally take the jump.
Like, confetti and like smoke machines.
Ticket sales will go through the roof, sir. Yeah, maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year I finally feel like I could talk about something at a conference.
Oh, you are a wealth of knowledge. For those who don't know, we were on the green room just before jumping in here, and we were just spitballing what's happening, ideas. Michael, your vibes coming out live and direct.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it so much. So yeah, and then we'll see you at ETH Denver in a couple of weeks.
ETH Denver. Honestly, you have to go. Fuel Network are going to be running some tight stuff. They've got like the best merch I've seen. I'm super excited. We've been speaking to that team.
Oh yeah.
And they got some stuff coming. So
ETH Denver is the one where I usually take the carry-on. ETH Denver, I take the checked luggage because I know, like last year, how much merch I'm going to walk out with at the end of the day.
Pockets. Yeah. I'm literally like wearing 10 t-shirts. I'm jumpers on, like for sure.
That's like 90% of my t-shirts in my closet is all ETH Denver swag that I got last year. It's beautiful.
Unbelievable.
I can't wait for this year.
Yeah.
All right, Jolly. Thank you so much, my friend. It's a pleasure having you on. Everybody, please go check out Flight3. Of course, you know, when you come and work with Blocksafe, Flight3 are great friends of ours. We're happy to work together to help you build something amazing. And we'll see you soon, man. Thanks so much for dropping by.
Michael, you're a legend. Have a great weekend. Big love.
You, my friend. You too. Much big love.